One TSN girly? Hey.
This is Sportscentre.
Hey, I'm Marissa Roberto coming to you from the ESPNW Summit here in Toronto. I'm so excited to be here. Everyone's buzzing, including the birds. They're chirping, so you're going to hear them too. And all day we're going to be bringing you guests from the event. Plus, I'll make sure to bring you deep into what's going on here with a Roberto on the go, of course. But we must start on the ice because for the second time this week, the Leafs are on the brink of elimination. But this time, they're back home, which has not been a great thing for them in these playoffs, as they are just 1-4 in Toronto this postseason, but giving up 4 goals a game. And we've talked about him a lot this week. We got to start with Austin Matthews, who has been invisible this series, who's goalless with just 2 assists through 4 games. Someone else who needs to get going tonight is Captain Neda Tabatabaie. Since scoring in the deciding game against Tampa, Tavares has put up 4 straight zeros. He has no goals and no assists in the series. I'm going to do my best to bring the Matthews jersey to Nana tonight to see what she can do, but for the most part, these boys need to pick it up on their own. We need our captain. And as we bring up the Roberto reactor, I was happy yesterday, feeling good coming off a win, but now it's game day, and I'm filled, like most of you, with inevitable dread. I think like most Leafs fans, we're going to come into this with an open heart, a lot of hope. Try not to be too pessimistic about it. They can feel our vibes, okay? Let's just be cautious. Let's just be optimistic, hence cautiously optimistic. And after the Leafs try to claw back into their series, the Edmonton Oilers and Vegas Golden Knights have another chance to get more suspensions. It's starting to feel like that's the goal in this series, because Alex Pietrangelo got suspended 1 game for his slash on Leon Draisaitl. Darnell Nurse also got an automatic suspension for his instigator penalty in the last 5 minutes of Game 4. They really are taking Evander Kane's advice in this series.
When you want to around, sometimes you got to find out.
Which is just, honestly, sound advice. Speaking of Kane, there have been a lot of different moments where it looked like he might get suspended as well. But so far, he hasn't really found out. And then there's Haig's hit on Zach Hyman that injured him, and a seemingly endless amount of brawls. So I feel like more than anything, what we really need in this series is a ref at the start of the game to go, let's have a clean game here, fellas. Just do the weird, awkward mic thing like they do at the start of the regular season.
What's better than this?
Nothing, I guess. I don't know how he wants me to answer that. As for tonight's game, I feel like Edmonton is just playing with an absolute chip on their shoulders now. They've got to take this. ESPN Sarah Spain, also co-owner of the Chicago Red Stars. We're going to talk about that in just 1 second here because you did mention something on stage that I need to grab a hold of.
Okay.
You had a message for Leafs fans.
I did.
What was it?
Gosh, listen, as a Cubs fan, I know your pain, and I know that it feels like you're the butt of the joke, and it's never going to happen for you. But our saying in Chicago is it's going to happen, and when it did, it felt so much better than any title that the Bulls won when they kept winning, when the Blackhawks won 3 in 7 years. It was great. It was amazing. But 108 years of waiting and knowing how many people weren't able to hang on and live long enough to see it, it's like it's so much more satisfying. So it'll be worth it. Just hang in there.
That's so kind because it feels like we've been waiting for forever, and now we're just holding on to that little morsel of something game by game here. You were easily sold, obviously, and so was I when it comes to women's sports in general. We can see the numbers rising all across the board, but you're an investor, a co-owner in the Chicago Red Stars, which is just so exciting because now in Canada, they just announced Project 8. We're so excited, and now like you've inspired me to think about how I can invest and give back as well. What was that light bulb moment for you?
So it started with the Angel City team. I think they're up to 100 owners now. I couldn't name them all, but I know Abby Wambach, and I read Abby's book, and she said if they don't give you a seat at the table, never mind pulling up a chair, just build a new table. And that's what Angel City did. They said, okay, we're looking at this model, and it's usually a middle-aged billionaire white guy who owns the team. Why couldn't it be a group of people that are invested in the sport that want to see a change in the model? And they did that with the Angel City NWSL expansion team. And as that was happening, I had already supported the Chicago Red Stars, but ownership across the league started to look around and say, where could we find more financial backing, more security in the people that we have holding up these teams in this league financially, but also ambassadors, voices for the league and the team. And so I was lucky enough to have the Red Stars come to me, and it was almost an immediate yes. I say immediate yes, but I did have to go to my financial advisor and be like, okay, what can I afford and how can we do this and is this whatever? But I'll tell you, and I keep saying this, and this isn't exact, but I just got into the NWSL 2 years ago with my investment. And at that point, an expansion team in the league had to pay $2 million just to enter the league before anything else. This year, an expansion team has to pay $50 million. 2 years. So I put my money where my mouth is. My money is showing up. So it's not just about I want to support women's sports. It's a business decision. Yes. And if you're not in on it, you're behind.
Sarah Spain, such a pleasure meeting you. Thank you.
Yeah, great to meet you. Cute blazer, too.
Oh, thanks. I'm just dying of heat in it.
I
It's
bet
fine.
it is. Very hot.
It's wool,
Very
okay?
hot.
It's wool. business analytics and technology. That's her. That's Neda. Just got off the stage, pulled her for a second, obviously because it was so wildly important, all the things you were talking about. But we're going to talk about technology and analytics when it applies to sports. You guys put so much time and energy into making sure you connect with fans. Why was that so important to you?
Well, these days, technology is woven in everything we do, not only from the fan experience that we have with our fans and when they come to the building and the services they get, but also from our employees. It's very important to make sure, as a BAT team, we are enabling everybody across the organization to provide better services to our fans, to make sure we have the right product, whether it's the right ticket offer or the right food and beverage. Make sure fans, as they come in, they have the right experience coming to the parking, coming through the gates, and all of that. And also our employees are enabled with the right technology and data to do their jobs better, easier, less frustration. Like, how many of us have been sitting there trying to pull an Excel sheet or a file and it took us 2 hours and we are all frustrated, right? So our job is really enablers, enabling people to do what they need to do easier, faster, more efficiently.
One of the themes here today is champions of change and what we're doing to champion change. So what would be your answer for the board in there?
Well, I talked about everybody in the industry who's making change, actually, whether it's athletes who are speaking up, whether it's employees of different organizations who's talk about maybe some of the not best part of our industry in there, but also the journalists, reporters like yourselves that are speaking on it, and also the partners. You know, we have a great industry, but it's important to make sure we improve and get better at it, more inclusive spaces, everybody feels comfortable, and everybody's treated properly. So those are my champions of change.
And it was such an honor meeting you and just listening to you speak. Incredible. Follow this woman. Just a reminder, tomorrow the big day is finally here. It will be a historic first this Saturday on TSN as the Chicago Sky take on the Minnesota Lynx in the first ever WNBA game in Canada. Coverage begins at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. And this game is a massive deal, as it's just the third WNBA preseason game outside of the United States, as they were in Mexico in 2004 and England in 2011. And here are some more fun facts. WNBA viewership in Canada has increased 95% in the regular season over the last 3 years. So yeah, maybe it's time Toronto gets a team. And last year, WNBA social channels set a record for engagement with 282 million video views. So if you're not paying attention to the rise in women's sports yet, I feel like you should be now, especially in the comments. I see you, boys. I see you. So on that note, let's go catch up with New York Liberty CEO Keia Clarke. She's kind of a big deal. She's a CEO. Where did you just come from?
I came from Brooklyn, New York.
That's right, New York Liberty right here in the house. Kind of a big deal because obviously we're talking about super teams in the WNBA. Do you feel, though, that the super team era is good for the WNBA, or do you feel like we need to usher in a little more teams in here?
I absolutely think that super teams, if that's what you want to call them, rivalries, high-level competition is excellent for our league. That defines professional sports leagues at times, and I think this is going to be a really exciting season for everyone to watch.
But I want to talk about what's happening in Toronto this weekend, particularly tomorrow. I'm so excited about actually sitting down and watching my first WNBA game in the flesh. How does it feel to be in Toronto knowing this is happening now?
Yeah, I'm so super excited that the ESPNW Summit was actually happening at the same time as the WNBA Canada game. Although it's not the New York Liberty, Minnesota and Chicago will have a competitive, fun atmosphere. It'll be a wonderful competition, but most importantly, the people of Toronto will get a chance to see WNBA basketball, and that really, really excites me.
One of the things I talk about often is just combating some of the vitriol, some of the trolls in the comments when it comes to, especially WNBA stuff. For some reason, they think they have a leg to stand on or a horse to ride whenever we talk about women's sports, especially the WNBA. What are you guys doing, and how do you handle the toxicity inside the house?
Don't read the comments. That was the lesson of the day. Don't read the comments. No, naysayers are always going to exist. We have to keep our eyes on what we're doing. We know that there is absolute tailwind going on in the WNBA and all of women's sports, and if you want to troll, keep on trolling, but we'll have the last laugh.
Perfect way to end that. Thank you so much for your time. Here with Meghan Chayka, one of my favorites, also friend of the show, Meghan Chayka. Stats, content creation, kind of a big deal, even in the betting world. So you've had your hand on the pulse for so many different things. Here, just speaking about data, let's talk about why it's so exciting to get involved in women's sports right now.
I think data has always been important in women's sports, but now that you see actually the rise in investment, it's a perfect time to allocate capital to collecting data so you can do all sorts of fun things, not only fantasy and betting, but you can just engage and follow your favorite players, whether they're women or male athletes.
Okay, fair, but I want to invest in women, okay? I want to put some money down on women. I want to get involved in these NWSL teams, in this Project 8 that's happening too in Canada. I'm so excited. So where can so many of us kind of turn to and kind of focus our money if we wanted to put some in?
Well, I think just engaging with whatever you can, whether it's buying merch, tickets, obviously even sports betting. So I did a TSN segment, Strength in Numbers. During the World Championship, I actually called the USA to win, and it came true. So there you go. But they had lines on the women's games too. So you can engage in so many different ways at whatever level you want, from the comfort of your home, going, supporting, cheering, really just showing that the market is there, because we all know it's there. You know, if you put it on linear TV, people watch.
Okay, agree. We know it's there because we live in this, but so many people that live in the comments sometimes don't. They say some things that might be a little... It's fine. It's fine. They try to sewer our engagement. They try to sewer our excitement about everything happening in women's sports. But the fact is that the numbers are so high right now, we should be excited. So kind of give it to the boys in the comments, the sad boys in the comments. Like, why should we be excited? What are the numbers right now?
Yeah, follow the data. I mean, even in the Olympics, women's hockey is one of the best watched events in the Olympics, period. That's just a fact. And that's every 4 years, but that should be continuous, right? So finding ways to support these leagues, growing the brands of these players. We're already watching at certain segments. Let's keep it going.
Love it. Love all of this. We're just riding for women out here. Thank you so much, Meghan. So as you can imagine, and as you've seen all show, this has been quite the time here at the ESPNW Summit. But let me take you behind the curtain in the latest installment of On the Go with Roberto. I feel like this is meta doing an on the go from the place that we're doing the show, but here we are at the ESPNW Summit. Where attendees could start their day with yoga if they wanted. You can take photos by the flower wall, line up for all the food. Well, actually, they were lined up for swag. I just made a beeline for the food because that's just where I'd like to live. What's even better than the food, though, is the incredible women you get to see at events like this. I'm talking all the girlies. The smart ones, the ones who really want to see change in the sports landscape for women. The question is, how will you champion change? And honestly, you do. By watching this show, you help support and promote the hell out of women, and I could not appreciate you more. And we need days like this to come together and realize just how powerful and important it is to raise women up in sports. But I tell you nothing but good times and good vibes around here. Thank you to everyone at the ESPNW Summit for helping us out and making sure that we got everything we needed to bring it right to you. We'll see you back here Monday. Have a good weekend.